There was something very unusual about the book, that it kind of explored the life of a spy in the first-person point of view, like to really get into this world and to what it is to adopt an identity and live it. And the book was a starting point. I mean, the script is actually pretty far from the book. Eventually, it ended up being pretty far, but like there's something about this relationship handler and operative, and the way the film plays between like the Martin's character's perspective and her perspective that really drew me, and the film kind of came out of that, from the relationship and from that first person point of view of this life. I don't think, I mean, for me, intelligence organizations, I don't think it shows Mossad in, I mean, there's two things I think you meant. One is that it shows them in a bad light. I don't think it's the case. I think intelligence organizations are always exploitative in trying to get their goals. So in a way, I don't think any other organization, acts differently. I mean, there's a tension in the film between professionals who manipulates non-professionals, let's say. But again, that's a universal thing when you have, spies and non-spies. And in terms of secrets, the book actually was censored in Israel, parts of it. And I think the film doesn't tell, there's a lot of mechanics that I show in the film that all of them were published in some form, everything. And also, for me, it was not the letter of the thing, it was kind of the spirit of the thing. What is espionage as a phenomenon, the spirit of it. So I don't think we revealed letters, the details that are dangerous or anything. We just revealed the life of it. So I don't think they should be unhappy with it.
Rachel's a character that I was interested in because she's somebody who's not, she's not a killer. This is not Jason Bourne or James Bond, and it's the reality of what a spy, has to do. Years and years of just observing, of being still, really, and often not even knowing what the mission is, because they're being kept in the dark for a lot of it. And I thought that was interesting, and what that would mean. How do you live in a country for a couple of years, fall in love with somebody, you develop feelings whether you have a family at home or not. How does one go about that? And at the end of the day, we're all human. So things get messy, and I was interested in finding a truth in that. I did a little bit of Mossad training to prepare for the movie in Israel, but just the little glimpse that I got actually made me realize that I could never be an operative. To be able to walk into a room and talk anybody into anything while observing and remembering numbers, letters, being taking on an identity for years, always knowing what's behind you, planning reactions of people ahead of a time, the reaction you want to get out of somebody. It is so complex and so intense. These people are incredibly smart. And I could never be an operative.
If I don't like the story, if I'm not engaged in the story, then I won't do it, even if the character is interesting, and I liked the pace of the script. I like, one of the things I said to Yuval early on was I liked the fact that the screenplay wasn't begging to be liked, actually. It wasn't full of bombs and car chases and that sort of stuff. It seemed, not ever having been an agent or a handler, it seemed probably about as close to the reality of that life as anything I've read.
We actually had a second unit shooting in Iran. It was very lucky because we first tried to go in a kind of in a regular way and get a permit, and it didn't work, obviously. And then we just used somebody to get a crew in Iran, and the crew in Iran didn't know for their protection who they're working for. So they were working for somebody.
It's very Mossad.
It was very Mossad, like somebody from Belgium, and that person was sending the stuff for us. And we were like, and I was on the iPhone looking in New York while they were shooting in Iran, and I was seeing and I was like, no, turn right, do this, in New York at 3 a.m. because of the time difference. It was pretty short, it was 3 days like that. And we got a lot of shots of, the markets and the streets, and we had a double for Diane in Iran with her clothes. So some of the shots when you see Diane, we're pulling her in Europe, or could have been Bulgaria, which we, and then the over the shoulder is in Iran.
A lot of my scenes were sitting down, so and I'm very good at that. I specialise in sitting down and drinking coffee, actually. Drink coffee and pastries. I was fucking fine. No, not really. I mean, no, I you know, I'm lucky enough. I'm very, very fortunate in that I get to work on projects that I like, you know, and get whether that's something that's a kind of funny or kind of serious or a bit actiony. But no, for this there was no there was no action needed. My first conversation with Yuval was because at the end it's written that, you know, Thomas chases after Diane's character and, you know, heads off a couple of Mossad agents, and I was thinking, well, is that going to be Jason Bourne? Is that going to be like a fight? And he said, no, that would just be like me or you having to try and get into. It's like it's meant to look kind of, you know, not great. It's meant to look not very professional because Thomas is not a fighter. Do you know what I mean? His whole deal is sitting down in coffee shops, briefing people, and grilling them and prepping them. So no prep was needed. But thank you for thinking that there might have been.